Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you've been doing well. Today we are back with the reviews. We are back with the discussion videos. I have enjoyed, taking some time off, enjoying the holidays, Christmas and all that stuff. Hope you guys have a happy holidays yourself and are looking forward to the new year. And as you know, there's been a lot of releases just alone from Tamashii Nations in terms of SHF and all their other lines and branding. So yeah, without further ado, let's just jump straight into this guy because I have been waiting so long to finally pose this guy and see what he's all about. Seeing everybody else who has him has gotten me super duper hyped. And if you have a second, you can definitely take a look in the description. If you shop at Entertainment Earth, you can take advantage of all the good discounts and stuff there, and you can apply my code or use the link in the description to search through whatever it is you're searching for, right? But without further ado, now let's get into Metal Cooler. Alright, so first things first. Now I do have a ring light right on top of this guy, and I'm hoping that there's enough light that I can really show off, a lot of him. But just looking at him in hand while I am holding him and just looking at the shininess that's coming off of him, I really am enjoying what they did here with the paint. A lot of people were also saying that it feels very slimy and kind of greasy, and it seems like they did apply some kind of special coating that does help prevent fingerprints, but also just generally keep this nice shiny sleek look that he has, and I think it's really cool. Now, is it worth the money? That remains to be seen. I don't know how long lasting this is, and how much it protects against scratches and stuff, because I have seen some copies come with many scratches across it, so that is one thing to be on the lookout for. But aesthetics wise, it is just phenomenal. And you put some alternate colored lights, LED lights around him, and dude is sparkling. But yeah, let's get into his accessories, which isn't really that much, but also let's get into the accessories and the articulation and all that good stuff. So the first big thing coming out the box, you do have this nice segmented tail. You've got 5 segments, it looks like, and honestly mine is a little stiff, so I am having to put a little bit more force to move these, but it does rotate on each segment there, and goes up and down on the swivel. And of course, having a tail like this in comparison to let me grab him really quick, Frieza here, who's only got one part on the tail that can really move and has articulation, I much prefer something like this. But as you see here, in between each, actual segment, the color is going to look off because the actual ball peg is not the same, right? It's a little bit of a dark gray, bluish wash over it. So they try to keep a little bit of the same coloring there, but, once you start getting the segments lined up a little bit, it becomes a little harder to tell there. But overall, I do like what they're trying to do here, and I think I'd like to see it get even more refined. I believe that this is something similar maybe to what they're doing already in the Monster Arts line. I know a little bit of that is a lot more refined and looks a lot better. So maybe they'll get to a point like that with more tail-based characters in Dragon Ball, etc. Alright, out the box we do have a stern expression. And I did change my lighting just a little bit so we could better see the details there. And hopefully you guys are picking that up there, because listen, this dude is tricky in terms of filming, because the freaking reflectiveness of this dude is just wild. All right, here's his yelling expression, and interestingly enough, the peg that holds the head is very different from what we're used to. I'm not sure why they chose to go that route, but yeah, it's different, right? There we have the smirk expression. Again, hoping you can pick that up on the camera. And lastly, of the 4 heads, you've got your gritting teeth expression. And of course, out the box, you get your fist hands. Got your open palm hands. Here's another set of open palm hands. And here we have a set of kind of flat hands, if you will. And here we have a set of death beam hands. Alright, so now I'm sure you're wondering, alright, what about the damaged arm or repairing arm? So you can take it here off at the bicep. This shoulder piece is going to come off too, but you can either just try to pull from the bicep, or that can happen to you where the forearm does pull it off more. Just be careful, of course, you don't want anything to break. But this piece right here, the other arm, it just pegs right in there like so, and there you go. And then you can take off the shoulder piece right here at the bottom, like so. And it is just a little tiny peg there, as you can see. And you can peg in the other one. Should be fairly simple, but of course I have gloves on, so this makes everything 10 times harder. Alright, there you go. So there it is. It doesn't have any articulation, unfortunately. I do think that it could have been better to have two of them. Or, you know, it's a $120 figure. I don't know, maybe give an alternate torso that's partly damaged, something like that. I mean, yeah, but it's a pretty cool effect when it's on and you just saw it, if it just flung itself. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty simple process, and let's get into the final accessories, which is the additional feet. And lastly, we have the alternate feet, which are kind of just clenching, if you will, which you can have them standing on a rock or on somebody's chest or something, I don't know. But yeah, nothing pretty crazy there. Usually the Frieza type characters usually come with alternate legs or alternate, hold on. And there they are, the alternate feet, kind of clenching, if you will. Usually Frieza type characters, you know, cooler. And here we have the alternate feet, kind of clenching, if you will, on stepping on top of a rock or standing on top of somebody. Usually, you know, the Frieza type characters usually come with these kind of alternate feet. I think fourth form or final form Cooler, fourth form Frieza, and maybe one of the other Friezas also came with that. So pretty cool. I definitely think that there could have been a little bit more accessories in here for the price, but that's all we have to look at. So without further ado, we're going to jump into the articulation. Alright, so for a majority of this review, I've been doing it with gloves, but for this portion, I'm going to use my actual hands just to have a better grip on this figure, because I'm not lying when I say that this thing is really freaking slippery. Alright, but first getting into the head articulation here, looking up and looking back, that's about as far up as he can go. Looking down, about as far down as he can go, and side to side, not too bad, especially with the neck there. The arms, get some pretty good range there. You can do your T-pose, and you can take it a little bit higher if you wanted to, but of course the little shoulder pads here are going to get in the way. You've got your bicep swivel. I've heard some people saying that this arm is also a little bit loose, like it could pop out, even though there's obviously nothing to put in there. Just be wary of that. This one for sure is obviously a lot easier to take off, so while you're messing with it, just be sure it's all the way pegged in. But you do have the articulation there. You've got your articulation at the elbow, and then you've got wrist swivel there. Now the torso here is a little bit different. There really isn't that much range in terms of the torso to the ab crunch, because there is no ab crunch. So you're really just using this piece here, and I believe I can take this off with, yeah, this is pretty much all that's in there. So you're not getting any crazy motions there, but it's one of those things where it's a very good looking figure, and they might have sacrificed a little bit of articulation in favor of that. But he can go not back really at all, so there's that as well. It's really just front articulation there like so, and using the crotch area if you want to use any of that. I believe he does not have a drop down mechanic, which is unfortunate because I was thinking that they would do that for him, but they did not. Got your bend here at the knee, 90 degrees and then some, And these ankles are a little bit different. They pop off, you know, the feet. There's not really like a big enough space back there for him to bend his leg all the way back without, or foot all the way back without it falling off. So a little bit of a problem there. I don't think I've had that problem really with the Frieza characters, because they're usually, there's usually a lot more of a rounded off edge there, and they don't have that on Cooler. So he's not going to be getting that much range in his feet, unfortunately. But, you know, again, they've sacrificed some articulation here for a decent looking figure, and that is kind of the thing that I think is a little bit annoying between, you know, different figure lines and figures and whatnot, because some look great and still can have amazing articulation. Others just look great but have mediocre articulation, which, you know, can be a weird caveat, I will say. We did kind of briefly already go over the tail articulation, but now that I have my gloves off, we can do this hopefully a little bit easier and actually show this off a little bit better. So as you can see here, we've got our 5 segments. You can turn it and, you know, mesh it that way. You can have it resting on the down. And I believe Mega Frieza is going to have some type of a similar tail like this. Obviously not as segmented. I think it's got 2 pieces to it that are segmented, if not 3. But yeah, I mean, it's a good looking tail. It definitely will be interesting to see how they improve in the future. Now, briefly, I'm going to pull out some other characters here from Dragon Ball, and we'll do some height comparisons and talk a little bit about the figure in greater detail. Alright, we've got Cooler here. He's next to the new LSJ Goku that came out, 4th form Frieza, which actually is getting reissued, so if you're interested in that, definitely go check it out. And final form Cooler there, which recently came out, like, I want to say, a year and a half, 2 years ago. And yeah, just so you can get a general idea of how tall he is in comparison to some other characters or forms. Goku, though, I do think he's supposed to be like a little bit taller than Goku, but not by too much. But still, I feel like Goku, in terms of the height, he's not as tall as he usually is in figure form. This Goku right here is actually shorter than some of the other Gokus we currently have, which are in the 2.0 kind of era, if you will, which is weird. But yeah, I don't know why someone made that choice. But compared to some other characters, I mean, Cooler definitely stands out, and he's one of those figures that I think really will do well more in like natural light, and, you know, trying to control the lighting and the colors and whatnot. It's very difficult. This guy right here, like, I'm trying to figure out a better setup so you guys can actually see the colors, see the reflections and all that stuff. But man, let me tell you, the lighting with this dude is off the chain. But yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna move it and we're just gonna actually give our conclusion of Cooler, thoughts and dislikes and all that stuff. So yeah, see you there. All right, we're back. So here we're talking about Metal Cooler. Was he worth the money? Listen, $120, you know, that's a lot, you know, regardless. I know a lot of people are not willing to sometimes pay that much money for an action figure of all things, and that's fair. That is fair. Is Cooler worth that money and more? Probably not. I'm sitting in like a 50-50. You know, I have the figure. It's cool. I feel like what they did with the paint application and the design, it really works. You know, they sacrificed a little bit of articulation for design, and that annoys me a little bit, but overall the figure is done pretty well. And I've seen people saying it might be one of their figure of the years, and I think, you know, that's where it's like 50-50. You know, it's because more of, do you like the aesthetic? Do you feel like the quality feels like it's worth it? And, you know, looking at it, it does look like a premium figure. You would think that this thing is like super heavy, made out of die cast, but it's not. And, you know, in comparison to like their Saint Seiya line, which uses die cast metal and I believe uses similar paint applications to it, you'd think that this figure was gonna, you know, feel like that in hand, and it doesn't. It's got the same, you know, slimy metal coat feeling, but it doesn't have that heftiness to it, which is unfortunate, but still, as a figure, it works. But you can't army build. That's an unfortunate thing with this one because the price. So if you want more than one, you're looking at a pretty big dent in your wallet, which is unfortunate even more. So I think it's 50-50 with this one. I think if you really need a cooler, or a metal cooler in specific, go for it, sure. But I don't think you should be trying to pay anywhere upwards of $200. You know, there are some official retailers that have him for their own, you know, price, like, what is it, $179 or something like that. That is probably the highest I'd go if I had to have this cooler, was whatever the retail price is right now on official sites. On you know, reselling sites like Figuarts, eBay, you're probably going to see him sitting at $200 and going just up. And honestly, at that point, I just write it off. I would just wait for the regular fourth form to come, because, you know, we have this one, and eventually they're going to have to give us the other one. So it'll happen someday. And maybe after that, maybe they'll make some third party, you know, will make a matte version of metal cooler. I don't know. I just personally don't see Tamashii Nations re-releasing this metal cooler in any other way, right? I don't see it becoming an event exclusive that's a matte version, just because the way that this character appeared, for the most part, in its first appearance in the movie, he was reflective like this. In other forms of media like video games and Dragon Ball Heroes, yeah, they present him with what looks like a matte coating, but the guy is meant to be shiny. He's literally got metal reflecting off of the light, whatever it is. You know what I mean? That's just how he looks. So I can't really say I'd see him doing it again, especially as an EE. That's just me. But, you know, other people will have different opinions on that. But yeah, that is kind of all my thoughts. I think that I'm going to stop it there before we start rambling for real. But yeah, go for it if you really have to have it. If you don't need it, I say it's an easy skip. Wait for the next cooler to come. You know, the accessories, he needed a little bit more in the department. The articulation, I would have liked to see a little bit more articulation in this figure, but in terms of design, it satisfies 100%. So with that, I'm going to close out here. Thank you guys for watching. We have a huge backlog of figures to do. We've got Toto, we've got Yor, we've got Yamato, and maybe some others to do. So without further ado, I'm going to end it here. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks for being part of the channel going into 2024. I am just excited to keep on sharing these things with you guys, and, you know, making videos and just talking about action figures. It's a very fun thing to do. So catch you guys later. Have a good one. Peace.